Greetings, my dear friends. This is SoulWeaver. Today I want to talk about a place that is not on any map, about a civilization whose existence science does not recognize, but which thousands of people have tried to find. About a land that, according to legend, sank to the bottom of the ocean in a single night. About Atlantis. Let us start at the very beginning, with the one who first told the world about Atlantis. He was not a priest, not a mystic, not a psychic. He was a philosopher, one of the greatest minds of humanity, Plato. Plato lived in Athens in the 4th century BCE. He was a student of Socrates and a teacher of Aristotle. He wrote dialogues, philosophical conversations in which he sought truth. Two of these dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, contain the story of Atlantis. Plato claimed that he heard this story from his grandfather Critias, who heard it from Solon, the great Athenian lawmaker, who in turn heard it from Egyptian priests in the city of Sais.
The priest told Solon, "You Greeks are children. You know nothing of your own history. But in our temples, we have records of events from 9,000 years ago." And they told him about Atlantis, a huge island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, as the ancients called the Strait of Gibraltar, an island larger than Libya and Asia combined, an island where a powerful civilization flourished. According to Plato, Atlantis was created by the sea god Poseidon. He fell in love with a mortal woman named Plato. To protect her, he surrounded the hill where she lived with rings of water and earth, 2 rings of earth and 3 rings of water. On this hill, they had 5 pairs of twins, 10 sons. The eldest was named Atlas, and after him, the island and the ocean were named. The Atlanteans were not merely kings, they were demigods. Their civilization reached incredible heights. They built a great city, the capital of Atlantis. The city consisted of concentric circles, 2 rings of earth and 3 rings of water, connected by canals. At the center stood the temple of Poseidon and Cleito, surrounded by a golden wall. The temple was covered in silver, and its peak shone with gold. The Atlanteans possessed technologies that boggle the imagination. They had flying machines. They had devices powered by the mysterious energy of crystals. They built canals, bridges, palaces, ports. Their fleet numbered thousands of ships. But power corrupted the Atlanteans. They became conquerors. They subjugated Libya and Egypt, Europe and Asia. Only Athens was able to resist them. The Athenian army defeated the invaders. And then a catastrophe occurred. But afterwards there occurred violent earthquakes and floods, and in a single day and night of misfortune, the island of Atlantis disappeared into the depths of the sea, Plato writes. This happened approximately 9,000 years before Solon, that is, around 9,600 BCE. The island vanished. The Athenian army that had defeated the Atlanteans also perished on the same day. Plato did not reveal the source of this information. He simply recorded what the Egyptian priests told him, or what he invented himself. Scholars still debate, was Plato's story truth, allegory, or philosophical fiction? Plato himself claimed it was true history, but was he being honest? I do not know. No one knows. Skeptics say, Plato invented Atlantis to illustrate his political ideas. Atlantis is the villainous empire defeated by virtuous Athens, a story of hubris punished by the gods. No real Atlantis ever existed. But if it is merely a parable, why did Plato include so many details? Why precise dimensions, descriptions of canals, bridges, temples? Why specify the time, 9,000 years before Solon? Why the geography, beyond the Pillars of Hercules? Too many details for a simple allegory.
Critics point to another problem. 9,000 years before Solon is around 9,600 BCE. According to modern understanding, the Stone Age reigned on Earth at that time. There was no writing, no metallurgy, no cities. There could not have been an advanced civilization. If Atlantis existed, it shatters the entire chronology. But perhaps the chronology is wrong? Perhaps we had predecessors. Perhaps we are not the first on this planet. After Plato, other ancient authors wrote about Atlantis. Herodotus, in his Histories, mentions Atlanteans living in North Africa. Diodorus Siculus tells of a war between the Atlanteans and the Amazons. Posidonius doubted the existence of a sunken continent. Nevertheless, the theme did not disappear. It waited for its time. Since Plato, thousands of people have searched for Atlantis. It has been placed in the Atlantic Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, Antarctica, the Sahara Desert, South America, Indonesia. Each generation found its own Atlantis. At first it was merely an island, then an entire continent, then a colony of aliens, then a myth. In 1882, American Congressman Ignatius L. Donnelly published Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. He argued that Atlantis was a real continent that once connected Europe and America. Its colonists founded the civilizations of Egypt, Greece, India, and the Americas. All the world's cultures are descendants of the Atlanteans. Donnelly's book became a bestseller. He compiled hundreds of coincidences between the cultures of the old and new worlds. Pyramids, customs, myths, writing, all of this, in his opinion, proved the existence of a single ancestral homeland. Donnelly pointed to similarities between words and languages separated by an ocean, to common legends of a great flood, to the resemblance of religious rituals. In the 20th century, the baton was picked up by the famous sleeping prophet, Edgar Cayce. During trances, he gave over 400 readings about Atlantis. He claimed that he himself had been a priest in that civilization. He described the Atlanteans as a race possessing enormous spiritual and technological power. They used crystals to generate energy, for healing, for communication. Cayce spoke of a giant crystal like a diamond called the Tuawi stone or fire stone. It accumulated the energy of the sun and stars. But the priests used it for unrighteous purposes. They directed its beam at their enemies. And one day the beam struck a volcano. A chain reaction began. Atlantis split apart and sank beneath the waves. Cayce predicted that in 1968, part of Atlantis would be found on the ocean floor near the Bahamas. In 1968, the Bimini Road was indeed discovered, an underwater structure of huge stone blocks. Geologists say it is a natural formation. Believers say it is part of a sunken city. Cayce also claimed that many people living in the 20th century were reincarnated Atlanteans. They came to help humanity avoid the same catastrophe that destroyed their ancient homeland. In the 1990s, writer Graham Hancock published Fingerprints of the Gods. He argued that around 10,450 BC, a shift in the Earth's crust occurred. Antarctica moved south. Atlantis, which had been located there, froze and now lies beneath miles of ice. Hancock draws attention to the Piri-Reis map, drawn in 1513. It shows Antarctica without ice. How did the Turkish admiral obtain such information? Where did he get coordinates that could only be determined from the air? Hancock believes the map is a copy of even older maps, created by an unknown civilization, perhaps the Atlanteans. Another hypothesis connects Atlantis with the Andes and the pyramids. Notice how strikingly similar the pyramids of Egypt are to the pyramids of Mexico. Stepped, with flat tops, with interior chambers, like two peas in a pod. The construction methods are also similar. Megalithic blocks weighing tens of tons,
fitted together with perfect precision. If Atlantis existed, its colonists could have brought knowledge to both Egypt and the Americas. This would explain the similarities in culture, religion, architecture, and symbols. There are other mysterious structures, the megaliths of Baalbek in Lebanon, stone blocks weighing up to 800 tons. No modern crane could lift them. How are they moved? Who built them? Sacsayhuaman in Peru, walls of giant stones fitted so precisely that you cannot slip a knife blade between them. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a temple complex built 12,000 years ago, 6,000 years before the Egyptian pyramids. Who built it? Why? And why was it buried? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the middle, not one Atlantis, but several centers of civilization that vanished at the end of the Ice Age. Not one flood, but many local catastrophes. Not one people, but several who reached high levels of development and then disappeared due to natural disasters. At the end of the last ice age, sea levels rose by 120 meters. Thousands of square miles of land were submerged. Perhaps, beneath the water, lie the ruins of cities we will never find. In 2011, researchers discovered the underwater Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan. Giant stone platforms, columns, steps, triangular pools. Some scientists consider it a natural formation. Others believe it is an ancient city at least 10,000 years old. If it is man-made, its builders possess the kind of technology attributed to the Atlanteans. In 2000, structures were discovered off the coast of Cuba at a depth of 700 meters. Symmetrical, geometrically regular shapes. Some researchers speak of a sunken city, others of an optical illusion. Research continues, but funding for underwater archaeology is scarce. It is expensive, and Atlantis does not generate profit. In 2018, satellites detected strange structures beneath the Antarctic ice. Triangular formations resembling pyramids. Geologists call them nunataks, mountain peaks protruding from the ice. But the shapes are too regular. Perhaps they are not mountains? Perhaps they are structures? One detail in the story of Atlantis has always struck me. Not the technology, not the cities, not the military might, but the moment when the Atlanteans changed from divine to human. Plato writes that as long as their divine nature remained, they were virtuous. But when it diminished, they became greedy, cruel, arrogant. Perhaps Plato is not speaking of bloodline. Perhaps he is speaking of knowledge, of connection to the source. As long as the Atlanteans remembered who they were, where they came from, the meaning of life, they were great. When they forgot, they fell. And this is not only their lesson, it is our lesson. We too have forgotten. We think the meaning of life is money, power, consumption. We build empires that do not bring happiness. We use technology without considering the consequences. We destroy the planet on which we live. Atlantis is not a warning. It is a mirror. We look into it and see ourselves, and we are afraid because we recognize ourselves. We are also on the edge. We also possess enormous power. We also do not know how to use it. What if Atlantis did not perish? What if it moved to another dimension? What if its inhabitants migrated underground? What if somewhere down there life continues, and one day they will return? Edgar Cayce predicted that Atlantis would rise again, that in the 2020s parts of it would begin to appear, not due to volcanoes and earthquakes, but due to climate change. Melting ice would reveal what had been hidden for millennia. The 2020s are nearly over. Has anything changed? We see strange structures underwater,
but nothing definite yet. Perhaps we are looking in the wrong place. Perhaps Atlantis is not in the ocean. Perhaps it is inside us. What if Atlantis is not a geographical location, but a state of mind? A state in which humanity lived in harmony with nature, with the gods, with itself, and then lost that harmony. And now we are trying to regain it. We search in the external world for what we have lost in the internal. Plato wrote his dialogues 2,400 years ago. Since then, thousands of books, thousands of expeditions, thousands of theories. Atlantis has not been found, but it has not disappeared from our consciousness. It lives on, in films, in books, in games, in dreams. Perhaps Atlantis was never a physical place. Perhaps it is an idea. The idea that we could be better. Perhaps we are not searching for a sunken continent. We are searching for ourselves. I do not know if Atlantis existed. I do not know if it can be found. I do not know if Plato was right, or Cayce, or Donnelly, but I know that the legend of Atlantis lives on. It will live forever, because it speaks of us, of our hopes, of our fears, of our pride, of our fall. Atlantis is not a place, it is a reminder. Do not be like the Atlanteans. Do not forget who you are. Do not lose your connection to what is above you. And perhaps one day, we will not find a sunken city. We will find ourselves. And now, listen to the silence between these words. Have you ever felt it? That somewhere deep inside, there is a memory of something great, something we have lost. Not a city, not a continent, but a state. A state in which we were whole, connected, luminous. We search for Atlantis outside, but it is inside. It is in our longing for home, in our striving for perfection, in our belief that we can be better. Atlantis did not sink. It simply moved inward, into our memory, into our dreams, into our hopes. And it waits for us to remember. When we stop looking for it at the bottom of the ocean and start looking within ourselves, it is there, always was, and always will be. Just close your eyes and look inside. This is SoulWeaver. If this resonated with you, subscribe. Stay. We are just beginning. Until next time, dream, question, and remember, no one really knows, but it's beautiful to think about.